Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Well, look at that. Bitcoin above $118,000. You got XRP at $2.58. Remember when just months ago, XRP got down to about $1.60? And how low did Bitcoin get? I don't remember exactly. Maybe it was the mid 70,000s, whatever it was, way lower than where we are now. It was the end of the world, right? But you know what? If you were paying attention, then you know that there were signs that actually things were going to go ballistic. And I told you about all of them throughout the course of this year. And it was correct. You just got to be careful to who you listen to. And it's not that I'm some sort of wizard. I lean on the shoulders of giants, my friends. I follow the people who have large followings and are reputable and trusted for good reason. And I track tons of those. I track as many of those people as possible until I'm given a reason not to trust them, which actually does happen sometimes. Rarely. But it should not be a surprise that we're here. It also shouldn't be a surprise when XRP hits yet another new all-time high, which absolutely is coming. And it shouldn't be a surprise when it enters price discovery for the first time in about 7.5 years. 7.5 years, folks. And it shouldn't be a surprise when everybody's face on the entire planet gets completely melted, and then we all need new faces. That's what's going to happen here. So I'm going to share with you some of the things that we encountered along the way and the reasons that we should have known this, and optimism for the future, because it's only getting better, folks. On the whole, it's only getting better. $118,000 Bitcoin. Look, I don't even care if you don't hold Bitcoin and you don't like it. That's fine. I'm not, like, I hold it. I'm just not that excited about it, frankly. I've been holding it since 2017, but it's just because I know the real opportunity is in altcoins. But still, it's amazing because Bitcoin leads the way, and we knew that if this happened, that alts would follow, and they are, including XRP. But before going further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I'm not offering financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Here's a post from Anthony Pompliano yesterday. And he's right here. Like, he's got a point. He shared this with his 1.7 million followers. He said, people were talking about the Great Depression a few weeks ago, but stocks went to all-time highs instead. Choose your information sources carefully. Spot on. And that's what I'm always aiming to do. Here's a post from chart analyst TechDev. He wrote, if you're surprised, you're not watching the right things. Spot on, because like I said, there were signs that this would be happening. Up top, you've got the price of Bitcoin. On the bottom, you've got the liquidity-weighted business cycle and what has happened in every previous cycle, which is unfolding right now. When the liquidity-weighted business cycle starts rocketing, you get to the point where Bitcoin goes parabolic for its final run into the end of the cycle. We are at that exact point right now. This is one of many metrics that you could look at that just perfectly lines up, unless you want to say, this time is different. But that's not going so well for the people that have been saying that lately, is it? No, it is not. Here's an example. Il Capo of crypto with his 970,000 followers. Look, I know he doesn't literally get everything wrong, but my God, he has gotten a couple major calls disastrously wrong. And I'll tell you this, even that in and of itself wouldn't be a problem, but he will not admit when he's wrong and everybody can see it. And he breaks trust when he does that. The one that really got him, so like he was bear posting like crazy going into the end of 2022, early 2023. Bitcoin got down to its low of whatever it was, $15,000 or $16,000. And he was insisting Bitcoin was going to keep cratering down to $12,000, but it didn't. That was actually the bottom around $15,000 or $16,000. And he insisted it was going to happen as it went higher and it hit 20 and then 25,000 and 30,000 and then 40,000. He just insisted all the way up. It was just going to do it. And he never would actually admit that he was wrong. And so people aren't stupid, as it turns out. And so they could see that. And I know a bunch of people are still trusting him for some reason, but there are a lot of people that saw this and are like, wow, you're blatantly lying about this. It's very obvious. And then they came to the same conclusion as me, which is, I can't trust you. Because we know that he knows that he was wrong. Just say you're wrong. And it's not like it's an unforgivable sin. I'm wrong about stuff too. You know, I'd like to be shown some grace when I'm wrong, because I am and I will be in the future at times. But just admit it, just like own it. And so he didn't. Not only that, though, look what he said here. And I don't think this is going to age well. He posted this yesterday afternoon as the market's pumping and Bitcoin's only gone higher, so he's already wrong. But he says this could very well be the ultimate bull trap. Staying cautious. Oh. No, it's not a bull trap. Oh my God. You think he's going to admit when he's wrong about this one? I'm not going to hold my breath. I just want people to be intellectually honest. Am I asking for too much? If you're wrong, just say you're wrong. I'll be like, yeah, that's fine. We all make mistakes. Cool. But stop acting like people are so stupid that they can't see that you know that you're not, that you don't mean what you're saying. You're just defending yourself because you're too much of a child and you got too much of an ego and too much pride to admit when you just made a mistake. And that actually, the fact that you're like that makes it worse for you. You alienate people when you're like that. It's a life lesson type of thing. He just doesn't get it though. Here's a post from chart analyst XR Punky. This was from June 27th. So when I said there were signs, oh, there were. This is an XRP USD chart. And he said, come July, we shall fly. XRP ticker symbol. Yup. And of course, now up here you can see he's pointing towards closer to like $6 or $7. So he thinks it's plausible that, you know, into July we're going to be seeing some serious price discovery. Hopefully that comes to pass. I think it's going to come to pass regardless. I just don't know for sure if it's going to be in July. Nobody can know. But it is plausible that it could be this month. It absolutely could. Regardless, though, he believed that we were going to be breaking out, and the market is. So XRP is jumping. We do still need to see it get into price discovery, but I'm thinking it's probably coming. There were signs, folks, and the analysts that I follow, they all saw this stuff. That's why I kept citing in recent weeks, especially, how there's just a very noticeable overlap in messaging from so many of the XRP chart analysts that I follow in terms of rationale as to why they believe that it was ultimately going to burst. And they didn't know if it was going to be today, tomorrow, next week, next month. You can never know for sure. But just to have all of them agree in unison on that simple point, that almost never happens. So just keep that in mind. Just take it for what it's worth. Here's a post from the great Matsby from July 6th, not long ago, just days ago. He said, XRP just closed a weekly candle above the 20-week moving average for the first time in a long time. This could be the start of its next move higher. Folks, he was right. There were signs. There were big glowing XRP signs here. And so he reposted that last night and he said, the signs were there before this explosion occurred. All you had to do was pay attention. So folks, just be careful who you listen to. Listen to a broad range of sources. That's what I do. And nobody's going to be right 100% of the time, so you got to expect that. People who are good at what they do are still going to make mistakes. Some of them are doozies, most of them aren't. And that's okay. But that's why when you look at a ton of sources, what you're going to find is opinions on one extreme, on an extreme on one side, and on the other side, the total opposite extreme. And the truth is typically somewhere in between. And so you can get a feel for what's most probable to occur. Here's a post from the blockchain backer. Look at this. He said, ABC, new all-time highs, cheers. And he posted this yesterday morning. It's Bitcoin charts, for those of you not looking, I'll just note that. And he's been talking about this since, February, I guess? He's been talking about the ABC correction play out. He knew it was going to take some time. There's obviously an accumulation range. But anyway, so ABC played out. And then once he got to the end of it, he said, guys, we can't promise when it's going to happen, probably sooner than later, but this thing's going to burst. And here we are. And now we're at new all-time highs. There were signs. He could see it was coming because he's another very talented chart analyst. Just be careful who you follow, but he was right. And anybody listening to my channel this year, you're not caught off guard. I know that. Here's a post from Real Vision. This is the organization that was founded by Raoul Pal, former Goldman Sachs executive. He's also the founder of global macro investor GMI. And I want to share with you just a part of this thread because it's just it was so, and I was sharing all this information throughout the year, and here we are, and the market is taking off. It's already happened, folks, and it's not going to go perfectly up in a straight line, but this is a genuine impulsive move from Bitcoin. XRP and everything else is going to follow. That's why this matters. So anyway, Real Vision here wrote, in April, everyone screamed recession. Julian Biddle and Raoul Pal called the exact bottom. 90 days later, they transformed noise into massive profits. You are about to see how two macro guys read the cycle perfectly while everyone else panicked. Don't F this up. Julian Biddle and Raoul Pal were seeing signals, not fear. They called it out live. This is a textbook setup for a massive squeeze. The catalyst? A violent shift from tightening to easing. And then they got 3 bullet points. 1, financial conditions were loosening fast. 2, global liquidity bottomed. How many times have I talked about that? 3, the dollar rolled over hard. Textbook banana zone ignition. Julian Biddle nailed the sentiment. Positioning is super light. Everyone is underweight risk. This is not how tops are formed. It's how bottoms are made. And that's right, folks. People they were on the sidelines. How much cash sitting on the side? And by the way, I'm going to have to pull the data up for a separate video. There's a boatload of cash on the sidelines right now, which is in the process of entering the market. Like, it's just, I can't remember the number, but it's just an insane amount. I'll talk about it in a separate video, but it's big. That's another reason to be optimistic. Yeah, things are going to get completely bananas here. Anyway, thread continues. Raoul Pal doubled down. The NASDAQ looks like it's coiling for a breakout. This feels like March 2020 all over again, and he was right. And you'll love to see it, folks. Then there's this. This is a post from Raoul Pal from last night. It says, I don't think anyone realizes the insane demand for block space coming from TradFi. Stablecoin's total addressable market is in the many trillions of dollars, and volume's a massive multiple of that, and that's just the start. Oh, and that doesn't include the Web3 demand from Web2 conversion that will follow over time. 6 to 8 years to $100 trillion as an asset class for crypto. Well, how about that? I hope the timeline's correct, but I've been saying since I launched this channel at the end of 2018, at some point, I was like, at some point, this is going to be $1 trillion asset class, and we were nowhere near it at that point. I think we were down to like, what, 150 billion when I launched the channel, because that was the bottom of the bear market. It was around there somewhere. 150 billion, maybe, call it. I was like, well, at some point, we're going to hit $1 trillion for the first time. We did. Then I said we're going to be a multi-trillion asset class. That's happened. Then I said it'll be in the tens of trillions. We're still waiting on that. And I said eventually it's going to be over a $100 trillion asset class. It's coming. So think about this, folks. What's it now? Like 3.6 trillion or so, I think. Here, let's see what Live Coin Watch says. A little over 3.6 trillion. Like, if you're talking about getting to over 100, which I believe is absolutely plausible, do you know what that means? That if you just have broad exposure to the asset class, you know what that means? How much money you can make in 6 to 8 years on top of what you're already doing right now? Like, even if you were jumping into crypto right now and you're brand new, do you understand how that's life-changing? 6 to 8 years and we go from where we are now to 100 trillion? Yeah, and this is real life. Like, this absolutely is plausible. It will come to pass. Just let enough time pass. I don't know if his timeline's right. Maybe it is. But it's coming. Here's a post from chart analyst Mustache, crypto total market cap excluding Bitcoin and ETH. The name of this chart is Total 3. He says, wow, it has finally happened. Total 3 breakout of the downtrend after 7 months. And the best thing about it? We're only at the very beginning of a big, big altcoin season. Just look at the past. Yes, look at the past indeed. Like we're basically here. Like, it does seem like because we already had the impulsive move from Bitcoin. We'll keep monitoring things, but yeah, I'm thinking that altcoins are going to be getting pretty sendy sooner than later. You know what I mean? Here's a post from Mikey Bull Crypto, and this is just from yesterday afternoon. He said, expansion phase is currently in progress, $120,000 the next magnet. And it's kind of funny now. I know as of the time I'm recording this, haven't hit 120K. Maybe it's happened by the time you're watching this. Or there's a small pullback. Who knows? But it doesn't seem that far. We're over $118,000. 120, not a big ask. It's funny how much can change in literally just a day. To jump up that high, that's a big jump, folks. And it's going to get even more ridiculous. Here's a post from Crypto Wizard, Bitcoin USD chart here. A new all-time high, and this is from yesterday afternoon. Say a prayer to all the doubters. Bitcoin has finally broken into price discovery with explosive strength. I warned $120,000 was inevitable. You'll soon see why. Yeah, and we're about there. We're knocking on the door of $120,000 as I record this. It's coming. Here's 360 Trader. He said Bitcoin with a major structure breakout here, $130,000 soon. He shared that early afternoon yesterday. So, I mean, folks, this is real life here. This is really $118,000 Bitcoin on your screen. It's not some sort of fake thing. It's literally just right there. And this is really XRP at $2.59, not breaking a sweat. This isn't some sort of impulsive move that got it here that's just going to fall back down and it's just on its own. No. Nothing like that. It's moving with the rest of the market. And this is after it already had its first major impulse late last year, early this year, hitting $3.40. It's totally normal to come back down and then consolidate sideways after that, even though it's big percentage moves. And if you bought up at $3.40, you're probably like, ah, crap, and it scared the hell out of you. You want to drop to $1.60. Welcome to crypto. Welcome to crypto, folks. I mean, I bought XRP. I started buying back in after the bear market began in 2018. So it would have been, I don't know if it was July or August. I bought whenever XRP got down to 55 cents after the all-time high. And mind you, I did buy in late 2017, but I'm saying after we entered the bear market, I decided to dollar cost average in. And I bought at 55 cents, and then it kept going down 50 cents, 45 cents, all the way down to as low as 10 cents ultimately. So think about that. I'm thinking about the money I put in. And I know many of you listening were in the same boat. You invested it, and you lost like, for a time, 50, 60, 70, 80% of your whatever you invested in terms of the market value. But now it's worth a fortune compared to that, isn't it? And so that's just what it takes. Like, I get that. All that to say, I understand if you jumped in and maybe your price is higher than where it is right now. I sympathize. It's just normal. Like, that's like welcome to crypto. That's just how it goes. And then the people that hold for a long time, even if it takes years, those are the people that win. It's like that. The opportunity's there for you. But this thing's going to go way, way, way higher. Of that, my conviction could not be higher. Whether I'm right or wrong, I feel the way I feel. I believe what I believe for lots of rational reasons. This is going way higher. The signs were there, and the signs are there that XRP is going to blast off from here. Whether it's today, tomorrow, next week, next month, whatever it is, it's going to blast off, and it's going to change a lot of people's lives for the better. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.